Hello and welcome. I'm so glad that you're here because this information is going to be so important for your child and for your family. Because if you're like so many parents I talk to, you've already tried so many things and you've probably been to countless doctors, tried dozens of creams, and read everything you can find online. And yet, here you are, your child is still struggling with itchy, painful skin. It's exhausting and it's heartbreaking. And the good news is today that I'm going to show you why what you've tried hasn't worked and share the best steps to help your child heal for good. Because let's face it, when your child is itching, it affects everything: sleep, school, play, your whole family dynamic, and it feels like you're stuck in survival mode. But what if the very things that you're doing to stop the itching are actually keeping you stuck? Today, I'm going to explain why focusing on the itch isn't solving the problem, what's actually causing the rashes, and how to help your child heal so that you can finally get back to enjoying life as a family. In case you're wondering if you're in the right place, if you're frustrated and feeling bad that your kid has rashes and skin issues that feel impossible to heal despite everything you've tried, if you're ready to stop spending so much money trying more creams that work for a day then stop working, if you're tired of experimenting with your child's skin, if you're wanting to stop cutting out foods to see if it makes a difference, and if you're ready to stop your kids itching and heal their skin for good and help them feel better for good, then you're definitely in the right place. And I'm really glad that you're here today. In case we haven't met yet, my name is Jennifer, and I'm a pediatric clinical nutritionist, and I specialize in helping children with itchy, painful skin conditions like eczema, hives, psoriasis, skin infections, and others. And over the years, I've helped thousands of children stop the itching and get clear, healthy skin, and most importantly, get their lives back. Parents I work with finally get to just be parents, not full-time nurses, and families can go back to enjoying life. And here's a little bit about my background. I have multiple advanced degrees, including a master's in nutritional biochemistry. I'm a licensed dietitian nutritionist and a certified nutrition specialist. I'm a published peer-reviewed author. I've served as faculty at LearnSkin, and I've also been featured on top podcasts in the field. But what I am most proud of is that I've built a proven practical system that actually works for kids with these tough skin issues. And that's what I'm going to share with you today as well. Because here's the thing, none of these results that I've helped families achieve over the years have relied on elimination diets, creams, or other temporary fixes. There are no Band-Aid solutions here. The parents of the kids that you see here tried all of those things before they found me. And then once we started focusing on the real root causes of the problem, which is what's going on inside their body, we finally saw true and lasting healing. And I'm going to show you how to make this happen for your child today, too. So let's talk about the biggest struggle. Is it the itching? Is it the diet struggles? Is it feeling like you're chasing triggers everywhere? I know parents who've tried everything: skin creams, steroids, antihistamines, prescription medications, gut healing diets, supplements, detoxes, changing detergents, switching clothes to organic clothing, all cotton, all linen, all silk, what have you, right? Rehoming pets, moving to different climates. The most obscure thing that I had was one family actually, the only clear area on their daughter was her diaper area. So they actually taped diapers to her entire body to see if that would help. It did not. I had another family, multiple, but this one, a recent one that I'm thinking of, actually completely renovated their home, tearing out walls, replacing the flooring, no more carpets, nothing fabric, all new furniture, even without the flame retardant treatments in their furniture. Didn't solve the problem either. I see in the chat. So Julia, sleepless nights. Yes. Also Vanessa, sleepless nights. Some other sleepless nights. Yes. So unfortunately, the itching that comes along with chronic skin rashes often does get itchier at night. There are biochemical changes that happen in the body that make us itchier at night. And so when our skin, we already have issues with our skin, that gets exacerbated by these natural, normal changes that happen based on our circadian rhythms. And also diet is very limited. Yes, diet restrictions, it's a major go-to. We're going to talk more about that today as well. You know, Here's the thing that I want you to know too. All of these attempts to stop the itching and chasing these triggers, they don't solve the problem. Whether we are trying to take foods out of the diet or using the different creams or rehoming pets or moving to different climates or whatever it is, we chase all of these external things. And what's happening is they're not obviously solving the problem. Your child is still struggling. And in fact, the issue is that chasing all of these triggers is really distracting you from the real issue, because the problem isn't the itch. The itch is a symptom. Food reactions are a symptom as well, but the itch is a symptom. And to truly help your child, we have to stop chasing triggers and symptoms and get to the root causes of what's going on inside their body so that they can have clear, healthy skin with no more itching and scratching. And I know you're overwhelmed with conflicting advice. There's blogs, there's everything on YouTube, there's endless internet searching. You've talked to specialists of all kinds. Who feels like they have a PhD in this by now? Drop it into the chat. I talk to so many parents every day who have done so much research. Yes, I see a lot of me's popping into the chat. There's so much out there. You've done so much work. And the problem is that much of this advice, it's either overly simplistic, like cut out gluten, cut out dairy, or this food or that food, or it's totally piecemeal, like take this supplement, try this test, here's a new diet, use this cream, or it's actually extreme and unsafe for kids. And what you really, really need is a clear, safe path to follow, one that is tailored for kids and tackles root causes of the problem in a way that works. And I want to say this loud and clear, because this is not just a skin issue. You can't solve this with creams and lotions and other band-aid solutions. You have to address what's happening inside your child's body, because healing happens inside out. But the great news is that you don't need expensive or invasive testing to figure this out. The approach that I use focuses on key root causes that we already know are playing a major role in your child's skin struggles. And this is based on the more than 8 years that I've been doing this work with kids with chronic skin issues and successfully helping them get life-changing skin transformations. We can start healing from the inside out using simple, practical steps that work without the overwhelm of complicated testing and protocols. And while we work on the inside, there are safe and effective strategies we can use to manage symptoms on the outside, like the itch and helping your child sleep better. And you don't have to keep guessing. There is a proven path that works that helps this healing happen from the inside out. And you're desperate to stop the itch. No one can blame you for that. Your child is miserable. They're scratching, they're crying, they're unable to sleep. You're not sleeping. You're exhausted. You're overwhelmed. You feel guilty because you can't figure out how to fix this. So you're going to try anything to stop the itch. And for many parents, cutting out the foods, because it feels like something that we can control. And we see it all over the place out there on the internet. It's a recommendation. Take this food out, take that food out, do this testing to find out what foods you need to take out. And maybe you've seen small improvements at first, but then the rashes come back. So you keep cutting more foods, more products, more triggers, and the cycle spirals out of control. And while you're chasing these triggers, whether it's food or detergents or other environmental things or some other culprit, your child's body gets deprived of what it truly needs to grow, develop, and heal. It's like refusing to put gas in your car or charging your car or whatever your car runs on nowadays and wondering why it doesn't run. And it's not going to. And the hard truth is that cutting out food or chasing random triggers does not address the real issue. The root cause is still there. It's festering. It's making the problem worse. And it's even causing other problems. And meanwhile, you're unintentionally creating nutrient imbalances and deficiencies and other barriers to healing for your child. Low levels of critical nutrients can actually cause more itching, turning this into a really vicious cycle. So it is time to stop the fear and the desperation. We need to stop restricting and chasing and instead focus on healing from the inside out. When you address these true root causes of your child's chronic skin rashes, you're going to be able to stop fearing food and random triggers and start nourishing their body so that they can heal, grow, and thrive. Because Here's the truth about lasting results for your child's skin. To truly heal your child's skin and stop the itch, you need a clear path to follow, right? So this means getting them nourished with the critical nutrients they need to grow, develop, and heal. You need to know what those are. You need to know how to expand your child's diet to make sure they're getting in. We need to stop the cycle of chasing triggers that don't solve the real problem. We can find effective strategies that help manage symptoms, but we need to stop chasing all of these triggers, and we need to start addressing the root causes of the problem so that their skin can heal from the inside out. And when we do this, this is when and how you can create a happy, thriving child with clear, healthy skin. No more itching, no more sleepless nights, a bigger diet. This is how you finally get your life back. And with the right strategy, you can break free from the endless guessing game and move forward with confidence, knowing that you're giving your child what they truly need to heal. Now, think of it this way, okay? The real solution lies in the middle. So, yes, we need to address symptoms like itching to bring relief. And yes, deeper testing can sometimes be important, but the real magic happens when we focus on the foundational root causes of the problem, because this is where most approaches go wrong. We're chasing random triggers or diving into overly complex interventions that don't solve the issue, and this just creates more confusion and frustration. And it's a waste of your resources. And this is why this approach is different, because we focus on what works, living in the middle. It's effective, it's practical, and it's not as complicated as it's often made out to be. My most successful clients, the ones that have done the testing. And so, yes, I'm talking about the stool testing, the urinary organic acids testing, looking for mycotoxins and mold and other toxic burdens and hair mineral analysis and whatever, all the testing. My most successful clients, like the ones that I've shown you today, some of them, yes, we've done more testing, but what has really moved the needle forward is working in the middle. This is where the solution is. So if you've done testing for your child and they are still struggling, and I see this a lot, parents have testing and protocols, but no results for their child's skin, it's because this middle work has not happened. Once we work on the middle, that changes and we see progress. And if you're wondering what's in the middle, there are 5 key root causes, and these have shown up in every single kid that I've worked with over the past 8+ years that I've been doing this. These are the foundational problems that need to be fixed. We can simplify this process, focus on what works, and help your child heal from the inside out and give your child what they need to thrive without the guesswork or overwhelm. And that's why results like this are possible. So we address what's in the middle. So I will say this too, everybody is different. However, the middle is where we need to look. There are these root causes, these 5 buckets. Every single child I've ever worked with, we've got to work through these 5 buckets. And again, these are the kinds of results that are possible when we do that. This client of mine had already been to multiple practitioners, conventional and holistic. They'd done stool testing, all kinds of DIY interventions. They're in all the Facebook groups and support groups and taking those recommendations. They did environment and diet changes, all different kinds of supplements, and they're still struggling. And then we address these foundational issues, and this is the result. This is another example I want to show you. This family, they had gone down a very conventional route, and this little boy was struggling with topical steroid withdrawal. So they were looking for a more alternative option to help him feel better. And we began to address these foundational puzzle pieces for him, and we started to see some progress, which is the first picture here you see on the left. Now, this family goes to summer camp every year together. So by the following summer, you can see him. Those are his before pictures here, obviously on the left. And this is him swimming and playing basketball the following year. So they go to the summer camp every year. And the year before was right when we started working together. So they had been at camp for a few days and they had to go home. This little boy spent those few days miserable in the room and couldn't leave the room. So they had to go home. And then here he is a year later at camp playing and enjoying. And I was so struck by his mom saying that she can now touch, hug, and kiss her son's face without it being painful for him. And this is another example of what a mom had to say what was happening with her son. He was diagnosed with failure to thrive because of his limited diet that they were using to try to help his skin. And once they started getting things back on track for him with these foundational fixes, we got amazing results. And not just for his skin, he started growing and gaining weight as well. And so now I hope you can see why this is so important. And the bottom line is, if you're solely focused on stopping the itch, you're actually preventing yourself from solving the real problem, because the itch is just a symptom. It's not the main issue that we're trying to fix. And that's the part that so many approaches miss. And so to truly help your child, we've got to address the underlying causes driving the itch. And when we solve those, the itch goes away naturally, the skin will heal, and the frustration, the exhaustion, and the guilt also go away. And a key part of this journey is getting the right support. And I know how much you want to fix this for your child, and you've been trying so hard to do this, and you've done an amazing job. You've got your PhD, I know. And what you do need to know too, though, is that if you've been at this for at least several months and you haven't seen any improvement, it's really time to try a different approach. You don't have to keep struggling with the frustration, the overwhelm, and the heartbreak of not solving the problem. And getting expert support can make all the difference. With a clear path to follow and proven strategies that actually work, you can help your child heal from the inside out and give yourself peace of mind. And if you haven't been able to get results yet, it does not mean that you failed. It means that you just need guidance to get pointed in the right direction. And that is the key to finally achieving the clear, healthy skin that your child deserves and the peace of mind that you need. So I want to answer some questions from the chat. Okay, so I'm going to move over to the chat now. Okay, so we were talking about triggers earlier. Vanessa mentioned, not sure what triggers, everything seems to trigger her. Yes, which, when we have these internal imbalances happening, they cause the body and the immune system to be dysfunctional, hyperreactive. So the body is going to start reacting to things it shouldn't naturally be reactive to. Another thing as well, when you can't identify, have no idea, can't tell what's causing the problem, it's not coming from outside, it's coming from inside. These internal imbalances cause inflammation. That inflammation triggers the immune system. That creates the inflammation that ends up showing up on the skin. So if you're racking your brain and your head is spinning, trying to figure out what's triggering your child, it's not coming from the outside, it's coming from inside their body. And that's where the middle comes in, those key foundational pieces, and living in the middle to help resolve them. I see here, Julia says, cutting dairy seems to help some of the bigger patches. Dairy can be a trigger for some people. It can be inflammatory. So if you do take something out, let's talk about foods a little bit here, because I know people do go down the elimination diet route. If you take a food out and you notice an improvement and that improvement sticks, okay, it makes sense to keep the food out. Of course, if you have a diagnosed IgE food allergies and a doctor has told you to keep those foods out, you keep them out. Now, if we're talking about food sensitivities, it's a bit gray, right? So food sensitivities, unless you can tell that they're causing reactions, I do not have my clients keep them out of the diet. This is where it's that fine line, like delayed reactions. Those are food sensitivities. If your child is not experiencing hives, swelling, trouble breathing, if the reactions are delayed, those are food sensitivities. Those typically do not need to be kept out of the diet. Those are not causing the symptoms. If they are causing symptoms, that is a symptom of these root causes that is also, again, making your child more sensitive to things that they shouldn't be. So if you've taken a food out of the diet and you haven't noticed any improvements, even if you've noticed, okay, so let's say you've noticed an initial improvement, but the symptoms came back. It's not that food, put it back in. If you've taken a food out, it's been 2 to 3 weeks, no improvement, it's not the food, put it back in. We've got to keep your child nourished, because it's such a slippery slope, and it's very misleading because you take a food out. It seems like some symptoms improve, right? Then they come back. So you take another food out. This is where we start getting into nutrient deficiencies, malnutrition, and worsening skin. It's not a coincidence. Your child's body is now missing fuel, critical fuel that it needs to grow, develop, and function and heal. Kids, pound for pound, have a greater need for nourishment because their bodies are doing so much. You add a healing journey on top of that, they need even more fuel. So when we're taking it out, again, it's like not fueling your car and expecting it to go. It's not going to. So the same is the case with your child's body. If you aren't sure, can't tell, and it's not an IgE food allergy that your doctor has said to avoid, put it back in the diet. Keeping foods out also, by the way, does not heal the gut. Okay. If you've heard that food sensitivities, you take them out to heal the gut, no. Food sensitivities do not cause leaky gut. The gut is leaky because of imbalances in there. Symptom are the food reactions. We're not going to get deep into that today, but I can go on about that one forever. But anyway, I hope that helps with some of the food questions and what to do about diet. I cut out some things, but she has ups and downs, so it's hard to tell if anything is a trigger. Yes, so when you see this happening, what that is, it's the internal things happening. It's these internal imbalances cycling. Some of these are gut imbalances that cycle, and the bacteria and the toxins that they produce. It is not the food. So if you can't tell, it's not the food. It's these internal imbalances that need to get resolved, those things in the middle that I had mentioned. Julia, I'm pretty concerned with environmental issues being the issue. Our toxic screen shows an overload toxic burden and symptoms seem to be improving away from the home. Okay, I'm glad that you brought this up. So some of that, I don't know which toxic burden testing you had done. There's one, I'm not gonna call out a lab. But anyway, there's one that I've seen recently from a few clients that looks at like every single environmental toxin. And I get this test back for my clients. It's not something that I order for them. They came to me with it because they wanted to look at it. It's like lit up like a Christmas tree. It's totally not actionable, and there's nothing you can do with this testing. Now, okay, so that's one thing. Now, when you're talking about symptoms seem to be improving away from home, that can be a sign. Unfortunately, there might be something triggering in the home. That is a case. So this is something that I look at with my clients. If symptoms are better outside of the home or away from a certain environment, and then when you're back in that particular environment, things get worse, that is a sign. Yes, look for mold. Look for environmental triggers in the home. Absolutely. If you're not noticing a difference in symptoms in the home, in a certain environment, in other environments, typically doesn't have anything to do with, something environmental. So just keep that in mind. Any advice on how to know if the issue is mold and what tests can confirm if mold is present? So similarly, right? So if you're in an environment and then away from that environment and things start to improve, it's possible that there might be mold or something in that environment. It's not a first thing that I would go to. And if you wanted to test for it, I wouldn't say test the environment, because like you could do the mycotoxin testing, which is the urine testing on your child. If that comes back positive, and because it can be coming from the environment, it could be trees or whatever outside the home. It doesn't mean that that's necessarily also causing the rashes. It could just be that there are some mold toxins. It doesn't necessarily mean they're triggering. There's also mold allergy. If you suspect mold, you really should work with a mold specialist. I am not a mold specialist. I will just say that. I do have clients that have this as an issue. Honestly, it does not change these foundational middle root cause issues. There are some other things that we need to add on top of that. But the main question that I ask my families as well is that, okay, so you suspect mold, maybe it is affecting your child. Children's bodies don't detox as effectively as adults. So maybe one person is struggling more than other people in the family, but typically when there is a mold issue, other people in the family are also experiencing problems. So the issue is that you need to get it out of the environment. And once you do that, what we do to strengthen somebody's foundation is the same. You've got to work on these foundational root causes, which essentially lower inflammation in a variety of different ways. And when we calm that down, everything else calms down. The immune system calms down. So we have to look at, why is this particular person so reactive to something in the environment. And again, yes, mold can be particularly triggering, but aside from that, why is this person so reactive? There's something happening, internal imbalances going on that we need to resolve. It's not out here, it's inside. So whether it's mold or anything else, we still need to work on these internal imbalances. I also can't even count the number of clients I've had that have addressed mold and all of these other things. But you know what? Their child is still struggling with their skin. Why? Because they haven't addressed the foundation. That foundation is critical. Here's a question, eggs. So they took my 3-year-old off eggs because whenever she touches a raw egg, she gets an immediate rash. Also took out wheat, milk, and eggs all at once. I think it definitely helps, but I don't know if the eggs were the cause. I don't know if eggs are the cause, and that's a big source of protein. So, okay, there is a difference between a contact rash allergy and something ingested and it being a food allergy. This is a case where I would talk to your doctor and see if she needs to be off of them orally as well. When it comes to wheat or gluten and, cow milk, dairy, nobody needs to sit around and eat those things all day long. They really are inflammatory. But that said, if your child isn't celiac and doesn't have allergies and you're not noticing a big difference keeping these things out, I want to see your kid eat the cake and cookies on holidays, of course, for special occasions, not all the time. But they should be able to eat treats. So if these things don't need to be kept out and you're not noticing a difference and there's no medical reason to keep them out, they don't really need to be kept out. When it comes to eggs as a source of protein, yes, they're an amazing source of protein, but there are lots of other protein sources too. Any other animal product, poultry, so your chicken, turkey, beef, pork, fish, any kind of, seafood. So there are lots of other sources of protein. There are also plant-based sources of protein, nuts and seeds, a variety of options aside from eggs. So I hope that's helpful. Also, I think all of the skin issue inflammation is affecting her speech and brain and brain development. How do I help my daughter? I'm so sorry this is happening. It is not uncommon. I shared that story about the family whose child was failure to thrive because of his limited diet. But I will say, like, even aside from a lot of parents go down that route and end up, with failure to thrive, but there it is more common for a child that has chronic skin rashes to start to struggle with failure to thrive and other developmental delays because they're so uncomfortable in their skin. Like I've, talked to families where the kids can't do tummy time and, they can't potty train. They have different time frames and they fall behind on growth curves. And it has a lot to do with how uncomfortable they are in their skin. So getting back to the foundation, as we start to fix this foundation and build those foundational build that up and resolve those root causes that are preventing that foundation from being as robust and as strong as we need it to be, these things do start to resolve. And I've seen kids catch up on those growth curves. So I'd really encourage you to, check out these foundational root causes of the problem and get this clear path to follow to help her. And this is a good example that it isn't just about the skin. This is about optimal health, optimal development, for your child so that they can thrive, not just now, but for the rest of their lives. All right. I think that was all the questions. Well, great questions, guys. I hope that was really helpful. Okay. So, just to kind of wrap things up here, if you're ready to stop guessing and get a proven personalized plan to help your child feel better, to get lasting relief, I will be sending the recording of this out and I'll send a link to learn more where you can get access to the proven practical system that can actually work. That I've built, and this works for kids with the tough skin issues like those that you've seen here today and those that you see here on these slides. And I'd be happy to share that with you and be honored to be your guide and help you and help guide you through that clear path. And you really can have a clear path to follow so that your child can feel good in their skin and sleep better, have a bigger diet, and your family can start enjoying life again. So again, thank you so much for being here today. It is clear how much you care about your child, and it makes you an amazing parent. So honored to spend this time with you here today. And for all of you listening to this recording, it's an honor to be your guide, and thank you as well. And I hope to see you again soon.